Well, welcome everybody. It's been a little while since I've done a video, and one of the reasons that's been because I've been sick, or a surgery, or one thing or another. I had a hernia surgery, I had a tooth extraction with a bone graft where I bled for 2 days. Then I had both my cataracts and lenses removed and new lenses put in. And this past week, or a week ago, I just got over COVID. That's all been in just 3 months. I feel like I've been through the ringer. But here I am. And this is sort of a stopgap video, but I thought this was going to be very interesting to do this today. What we're going to look at today are things from my past, things that are 50 years old or older that I still have, things that I've had since before I left home at the age of 17. And some of these things are pretty interesting. You'll get a kick out of them. We're going to start with, and you know what? If I can get Edison off the table. Oh, by the way, this is a video that's going to be coming up soon. We're going to look at treats from all around the world, not just a specific country, but these are from all over the place. I believe there's 12 of them here. We're going to look at those probably in the next few weeks. So what we're going to start today with are things that, if I can get the table back to normal here, things that I've had for over 50 years. We're going to start with things from the early 1950s. And I don't know if you can see this, sweetie. He's got to get down. I'm going to put it together. Do you see that? It's about the size of my little finger. It has beads on it, and the beads say Krueger. The day I was born, this was put around my wrist. This is how small my wrist was when I was born, and I still have it. I'll show you a picture here. Now, see, that's me, the day I was born. Also, back then, formula companies, baby formula companies would do this. They'd take the ad of your birth announcement from the newspaper, and they would laminate it and then give it to the mother. So this is a little cut of my birth announcement from back in the early 1950s. That's another thing I've had. I also still have my baby book, and it still have a lot of pictures in it, and has my grandparents, my great-grandparents, and here's the picture of me wearing that little bracelet. What's interesting about this baby book is the publisher is Richard Krueger out of New York, and my great-grandfather was Richard Krueger. That's sort of a coincidence, isn't it? It's satin. It's called All His Life. Here's something I've had most of my life. This was the Lutheran hymnal for my great-great-grandparents' Lutheran hymnal. And this is from the 1860s. I did have my great-great-grandparents' family Bible from the 1860s. And I also had my great-grandfather's pocket watch. He was a streetcar conductor in the around 1900. I gave those things to my oldest son. So he has those, but I still have my great-great-grandparents' Lutheran hymn book. And back then they didn't have the actual music in stanzas. All they had were just the words. So I guess people sort of had them memorized by the time they were in the church a lot. Okay, now we're going to go upstairs and we're going to look at something I got for my 9th Christmas. I got this in 1962. And here's a fun item. Christmas 1962. The Great Garloo. This is something I really wanted for Christmas that year, and we went over to my Aunt Ida's house and looked under the tree, and I saw, oh, I'm not getting the Garloo. I was so upset, and Aunt Ida said, you know, Barry, I think there's something up in my bedroom that Santa brought for you. So I run upstairs, and there he was, the Great Garloo. This one still works. It's got the remote control here. You put a couple D batteries in here and it goes forward, back. It goes down, up. Arms go in and out. It picks things up. Still works after, what is that, 60 years. This old man is 60 years old. Anyway, the Great Garloo, Christmas 62. Well, we're still in the sound room here. This is where I do music tracks for church and voiceovers from time to time. But our next item is something very special to me, and for a lot of people, it probably isn't. They'd say, oh, throw that away. Back in the 1960s, I did a lot of odd jobs, mowing the lawn, worked in an ice cream shop, And then right before I left home, I was a church organist. I made money that way. But every Friday afternoon, I would go to either Stan's Record Shop in downtown Lancaster, Two Guys on Columbia Avenue, or Sears at the Lancaster Shopping Center. Now, if you're from Lancaster, PA, you know what I'm talking about. And guess what I got there? I got the surveys, the hit lists for the week. The two popular stations were WSBA York.
WSBA, dial 90 wonderful.
And WLAN 1390 Lancaster.
WLAN, let's get it together. WLAN.
WLAN was my favorite. It really played some cool stuff. And some oldies too, even oldies that were oldies back then. But anyway, I would get surveys every week, go to my stores and get my surveys, the latest hit lists. So that was one of the things I really like to do. And I have the collection. We're gonna go over here now to the bookshelf and I'll show you my survey collection. It's quite extensive for WSBA and WLAN. WSBA in York, where my mother was from, across the river from Lancaster. And then WLAN Lancaster, which was really my favorite. They really played some good stuff. They came out with different types of surveys through the years. This was the WLAN Star Line. And earlier than that, they had a one that was folded like this. It was called All Heart Country. And then even before that, it was something like Wi-Fi radio or Hi-Fi radio or something like that. They made those surveys up into the 80s, and then they dropped the AM station and just went FM. Now they're either talk radio or some Latino music. They're not anything like that anymore. So, but anyway, that was one of my favorite things to do, is to go to the store every Friday and to get my surveys for the week. And I still have all of them from back in the late 60s and then up to 71 when I left home. Well, here we are downstairs in the spare bedroom or the guest bedroom, and there's one item that I have here that I've had for a number of years. I haven't had it since I've been a little kid, but it's very old, and it's something that I've known all my life. It was my great aunt's. She was my grandmother's sister. My grandmother, my mother's mother, died when my mother was 12, so my great aunt and her sisters basically raised my mother after that. But anyway, this unit, or this picture, I should say, it is the Lord's Supper. And what's interesting about it is all this blue up here, this is all butterfly wings. This is from Brazil, and it's about 100 years old. My great aunt Catherine, back in the 1920s, had a boyfriend. His name was John. He was in the Merchant Marines, and he would go all around the world and bring Aunt Catherine things back. Different coins and money from different lands. But this is something I always wanted. My Aunt Catherine said, one day that will be yours. And here it is. You'll see down below here, these are all butterfly wings along the base. And then all these fluorescent blue are butterfly wings. The whole thing had fallen apart in the 1970s. And when my aunt died, my mother knew that she wanted me to have it. So my mother took it to an art store, and they rebuilt the whole thing. They put it all back together. And it's so old, you can see the frame is slightly bent. It's just the wood it's very old. It's at least 100 years old. It could have been older than that, I don't know. But this is something really special to me. I've had this about 40 years, but I've known it, since I was old enough to see. I remember seeing this in my aunt's dining room. Shake, shake. Well, welcome to the media room. We're going to be looking at items that are over 50 years old now from my high school years, starting with, and you're going to love this one, an official 1969 blue velvet necktie. And on it is my French horn pin. I played the French horn in high school. This thing's sort of decrepit. It's falling apart, but it's 51, 52, I guess 53 years old. I also still have my high school ring. My Aunt Ida bought this for me. Still have this name badge with my name on it. It says Barry Krueger, Hempfield High School. We had hosted district band one year. we could host them in our home where they could stay overnight at our place while they played. I think our high school hosted the event, so everyone was coming into Hempfield Union High School. And so because I was a host and I was at the concert, I was given a badge. Big deal, huh? But it's still cool, still old. Then I have a couple yearbooks. This was my mother's high school yearbook. She graduated from William Penn High School, York, Pennsylvania in 1949. And she is in here. I remember this all through my life when I was a little kid. When she passed away at her funeral, we had a number of her items that we were giving out to my brothers and my sister, and this is the one that I wanted. The yearbook is called The Tattler, and I think the theme is sort of the 49ers. It's got the covered wagons on the front, sort of like the Gold Rush 1849 Gold Rush for 1949 graduates. So that's pretty cool. And then of course I have my yearbooks. I have my senior from 1971, the epilogue. I also have the 2 years before that. Sometimes kids would buy, even though you weren't a senior, you'd still buy the yearbook. So this is my 11th year, epilogue. Epilogue was our yearbook name. This is epilogue 1970, that was epilogue 71. And then when I was in 10th grade, epilogue 1969. So I have the last 3 years of high school. And of course I also have my college yearbook here, but that was after I left home, so we're not looking at that. So these are the things that I still have from before I left home that are over 50 years old. In fact, some of these are 53, 54 years old. And my mother's yearbook, that is, oh my gosh, 73 years old. So I hope you found this interesting. In the comments, let me know some of the things you have. If you're as old as me, if you're in your 60s or early 70s, what do you have from before you left home that's over 50 years old? These are sort of things that you forget sometimes you have, and then when you pull them out of the drawer or whatever, you go, wow, I can't believe I still have this. But anyway, thanks for being with us today. We've got another video coming up soon, which is going to be miscellaneous treats from all around the world. That's coming up soon. And of course, I'll be doing some more organ music on the Alborn Galante. So thank you again for being with us. Tesla and Edison are sitting over here saying goodbye with me. We'll see you later. See ya.